My name is Schindler. I'm a policy advisor at the European Federation of Building and Woodworkers, the EFBWW. I've been working there for about 2.5 years now, and one of the topics that one of the files that I work on is the asbestos campaign that we've been having for about close to 10 years already now. A few words about the EFBWW. It's a European Trade Union Federation of Building and Woodworkers, as the name suggests, and we represent 76 different trade unions across Europe in the building and woodworking sectors that cover approximately 1.7 million workers. Our main task as a European federation is the representation, of course, at the European level in the European social dialogue as a representative European social partner, but also to do EWC coordination, so European Works Council coordination. We put a lot of emphasis on health and safety, but also to do European advocacy, so lobbying in other words. Yeah, I think that it's very important to have these kind of events because as we become more aware of the dangers and also the changing nature of the sector with more materials, building materials that actually contain different harmful substances and new substances that we sometimes don't know the long-term effects of, it is very important to address this issue in a more in a broader sense, and to also raise awareness not just of the specialized companies, but also to tie this back with construction companies that would otherwise not perhaps follow this topic as much as we would like them to. Yeah. As I mentioned, the nature of the sector is changing somehow, and we're more and more dealing with different harmful substances in construction that we either didn't have because we used different materials or because we weren't aware of them. And so we can see that the sector is gaining in importance. Policymakers, of course, have a big role to play in this. An example from Switzerland, where they introduced new legislation on how to deal with asbestos, for example. The numbers shot up from about 3 or 4 specialized companies to more than 100. So you see that it is a growing sector, and this is important as well to actually deal with the situation that we face currently, and to create healthy living spaces in Europe, and in the end also protect our workers on the ground, because otherwise they're the ones that will be exposed to if we don't follow the right precautions. In this context, also what we see as one of the bigger challenges for us as a federation is cases of illegal removal. So we see a lot of companies, especially in the informal economy, that compete with the real companies, so to speak, the law-abiding companies, and undercut their business opportunities, their pay of the workers in those companies in some instances, but more importantly, they tend to not follow the right safety precautions to protect their workforce from the dangers that they encounter. And this is something that we have to deal with by tackling undeclared work in the construction sector. Yeah, international associations and federations, both on the employer side, but also us as a trade union, play multiple roles, of course, in promoting responsible conduct with harmful substances. This goes, on the one hand, at national level through social dialogue, through agreements between employers and trade unions, but also at national and international levels, such as the EU level, in terms of designing policy and advocating a better policy design. Just to mention one example, in the Lombardy region, they facilitated the removal of asbestos by linking subsidies for improvements to the energy performance of buildings to combining this actually with asbestos removal. And this is the kind of things that we as a trade union also promote, for example, in the context of the revision of the Energy Performance in Buildings Directive. We see this really as a prime opportunity to develop a holistic approach to finally address the issue of asbestos that is still contained in the European building stock. Because when we talk about improvements to the energy performance of buildings, this always affects part of a building that is traditionally also infested by asbestos, and it concerns the building stock that dates back to the time when asbestos was used heavily. So we talk about the walls, the roofs, the power plants of the buildings, so all the parts where asbestos can traditionally be found. This is also where you have to work to improve the energy performance of a building. What we would like to see actually in the revision of this directive is in a governance structure where the Commission foresees the design of national renovation plans to actually have sub-plans for on how to address in each national context actually the issue of harmful substances such as asbestos, but not limited to it.